Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. Can y'all see me? Let me sit up a little bit. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome to the late show. Like that episode of the Honeymooners with Ralph and Norton fighting over the TV. Nah, don't follow y'all. Shalom, 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 family. Wait. Welcome to, I don't know why I'm twisting up my words, Salakia. Welcome to a late night quick class lesson on the Feast of Judas Maccabees, or what's formerly known as the Day of Nicanor, or the Day of Nicanor's destruction. So, Ashar Yawam Nicanor, happy day of Nicanor or Nicanor's destruction. Or Ashar Yawam Yahawara Makwabaf, happy day of Judas Maccabees. Salakia, depending on how you want to look at it. We know in the history this day is known as, mainly by the scholars, as destruction of Nicanor. But, you know, H.O.I, we put our little spin on it. You add into the scriptures in the history, elder? No. But we call it, you know, also call it Day of Judas Maccabees, all right? Because we want to honor our forefathers on these days, you know. Just like Purim is called the Day of Mordecai, is also known as the Day of Mordecai, Purim, Mordecai's Day. So, happy day of Nicanor's destruction, Day of Judas Maccabees, and happy first day and second day of Purim, which is tomorrow at even and Friday at even, respectively. I love this time of the year. Like we was bringing out in camp, Salakia, this lesson is kind of late because, Shalom, babe. This lesson is kind of late because we went out to camp earlier. The scriptures say, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. So whenever a feast day falls on a camp day, we still try to do camp if we can. If it's too much logistics going on, like a Friday night, we celebrating the closing of Purim. We probably won't be out at the camp on 34th Street because there'll be more preparation and, you know, Shalom, babe. More preparation and things to do for the Purim. So we probably don't be out on 34th Street with our regular camp day. Point being, whenever it's a regular camp day for H.O.I, if a feast day falls on that day, we still try to go out and do the work. If it's like a minor feast day or a festival day, like Day of Judas Maccabees, we'll go out, leave a little early, and then do a lesson, or other states will do a lesson while we still go to camp, whatever. We still try to keep the diligence to make the calling and election sure. So tonight, February 21st, 2024 at even. Tomorrow, February 22nd, Thursday night at even. And Friday, February 23rd at even will be the 3 feast days respectively, or festival days. Destruction of Nicanor and the 2 days of Purim. All right. Real quick, Salakia. Yeah. Real quick. If y'all got y'all Salakia. If y'all have y'all 2024 High Holy Day Feast Day calendars, make sure the year's still early. Make sure y'all get y'all calendars. All right. Make sure y'all get y'all calendars. But check this out, right? A lot of y'all, you got the calendars and you're still asking me about how the feast days go, right? This is how you read the feast days, Israel. All right? Pay close attention. Tonight, if the feast falls tonight, right? It's sundown tonight, Wednesday night. That means tonight starts the Feast of Nicanor when it went sundown tonight. Tomorrow throughout the day, it will still be the Feast of Nicanor. Tomorrow night, the 22nd, Thursday, when it gets dark at even, that starts the first day of Purim, right? Throughout the day, Friday will still be the first day of Purim. Friday night, when the sun goes down, it starts the second day of Purim. Throughout the Shabbat on Saturday will still be the second day of Purim. Saturday night, the 24th, when the sun goes down, Purim is over. Do everybody understand? Give me a con 777. Because some of y'all got the calendar and you're still... We know some of y'all are nervous and you want to make sure you're doing it right, but sometimes Israel, the writing's on the wall for y'all. I know y'all want to be careful, but sometimes you gotta, because if we get, if I get 10, 20 people that say, Elder, I'm just trying to make sure we want to help you as much as we can, but sometimes you gotta understand what's there, and we go over it. And sometimes we know y'all want to be sure, but sometimes some of y'all, you just got to see what's there and understand it. All right? Because if we get 50 people saying, does it end the 24th? It's right there. We always explain. The way H.O.I do it is simple. The day you see on the calendar, that's the day. That night is when the feast starts. So if the Feast of Nicanor is Wednesday, it don't start. We don't mean it starts Tuesday at sundown. No. We mean it starts Wednesday. The day you see is when it starts at that night. Or so-called in this system. You know, it can be a little tricky, but that's how you read the calendar. All right? This is February, so-called 2024. Now, y'all still have time to get your calendars. You got 10 more months left of, you know, this society's calendar. Get your calendars. Inbox me here on Facebook. Or email me at houseofisraelnyc@gmail.com. All right? But that's how you read the feast days. When you get the calendar, that's how you read the feast days. All right? By Shema Mashiach Yahushua. Make sure y'all get your calendars for the rest of the year. But and we have flyer calendars we can send electronically or physically also. But anyway, Shalom Karima. Shalom Israel. Again, tonight, I know I'm coming to y'all kind of on a late night tip, Salakia. But, you know, we were out at camp earlier, and I said I would do a little quick lesson on this feast, all right? What does it commemorate? So we're going to get right into it. It's 2nd Maccabees. We're going to go to 2nd Maccabees, the 15th chapter. We're going to go through the whole 15th chapter. Now, y'all homework. Tomorrow throughout the day, y'all read 1st Maccabees, the 7th chapter, and you read 2nd Maccabees, the 14th chapter on your own. That's your homework. I'm going to just get right to the 2nd Maccabees, the 15th chapter, just to cut right to it. We're going to breeze through it to give you the basic understanding of what this feast day entails, all right? What we're celebrating tonight. So, 2nd Maccabees, the 15th chapter, the 1st verse. But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any danger to set upon them on the Sabbath day. Shalom, Daniela. Shalom, King Pinda. Shalom, again, Karima. Yona Israel. Elijah Isaiah. Shalom, everybody tuning in. All right? Glad to see y'all up on a late night. Right? So Nicanor was a Greek general under the Seleucid Empire, coming under Antiochus, the Antiochian line. Antiochus IV. And he was also under Demetrius Soter the first. These were Greek kings and leaders. And Nicanor was a top military general under the Greek army, under the Seleucid Empire. He was part of the strategos, or strategoi. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Which was Greek for military or army leaders, right? But these were like top military or army leaders. So in the Greek invasion of Jerusalem, during the time of the Maccabean revolt, Nicanor was one of the top generals trying to fight against Judas and the Maccabean family, or what's known as the Hasmonean dynasty, trying to fight against them to get complete control of Jerusalem and the temple. They were a resistance. They were a revolutionary group that was raised up by the Most High. It was prophesied in the book of Daniel that they was going to fight off the Greek Inquisition and have control of the city and the temple to keep our people worshiping the Most High for certain periods of time, until eventually the Romans came in and took down everything. And then 70 AD, after Yahweh's death, that's when we completely fell to Edomite rule. So that's some of the brief history to you. Y'all can look this stuff up on your own. But now it's a battle between Judas Maccabees and the Israelite revolution against the Greeks, their armies, the other nations, and the sellout Israelites for control of Jerusalem and the temple. All right? That's where we at right now. So again, 2 Maccabees 15:1. But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any danger to set upon them on a Sabbath day. The reason why I said he resolved without any danger, because he didn't care if the Sabbath day was the Most High's and the risk he was taking fighting against the chosen people on their chosen day of worship. He didn't care. He didn't care about no danger. He didn't care about what would happen to the people, the armies, whatever. All right. Verse 2. Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, because he had Israelites fighting with him against their own people. So, but even they said, even though they were fighting with the enemy and they were sellouts, they said, "Oh, destroy so not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that seeth all things have honored with holiness above other days." So even the sellout Israelites that were fighting with Nicanor and the Greeks and the heathen against their own people, even they said, don't go to war with our people on a Sabbath day, right? They said, don't destroy so cruelly and barbarously, right? The word barbarous means savage, because that's what Esau is. He's a savage. So they said, don't destroy so cruelly and savage. They was even, we're sellouts fighting against our own people, and even we see that that's cruel and savage. All right, that's what they were saying. He said, look, man, don't fight against the people on the Shabbat day, right? Like all of a sudden now you done sold out to the Greek army, and now you got a conscience, right? But that's Esau's nature. All right, he's a barbarous, he's a savage nation. Even though you had Israelites, because the term barbarian, like there's a scripture in Colossians, I believe the 3rd chapter, that refers to different names that Israelites was being called. You had Israelites during the Roman Empire that was called barbarians, because they were barbarian. It also stood for foreigner or outsider. So that's what they were labeling us. It tells you a tribe or people that are considered foreign. So we were considered barbarians. Some of the Germanic tribes that were up in Europe, and we was fighting against the Romans at that time, we would consider barbarians. So I'm just letting you know a little history where that term can be interchangeable. But right here, they're talking about Esau acting like a barbarian, being barbarous, because he was being savage and cruel to want to go to war with Israel on a Sabbath day. All right, let's link that up. Let's go to 2 Maccabees 10 and 4. 2 Maccabees 10. Well, we got to start at 1 to get the understanding. 2 Maccabees 10, 1 through 4, to link with 2 Maccabees 15 and 2. Now Maccabeus and his company, the Lord guiding them, recovered the temple and the city. This is when they took back the temple and they set up the Feast of Dedication, or the Hanukkah. But the altars which the heathen had built in the open street, and also the chapels, they pulled down. And having cleansed the temple, they made another altar, and striking stones, they took the fire out of them and offered a sacrifice after 2 years, and set forth incense and lights and showbread. So they cleansed the temple, and they were getting the temple back in order. Verse 4, when that was done, they fell flat down and besought the Lord Yahweh that they might come no more into such troubles, but if they sin any more against him, that he himself would chasten them with mercy. So they prayed to the Most High that if we sinned against you, may you send a direct punishment and judgment upon us, and chasten us with mercy, meaning punish us, but punish us to the point where we can repent. Don't destroy us, all right? So Israel was acknowledging that they sinned against the Most High, and that's why he sent the Greeks on them. See, we knew we were spiritual people. Not like now, our people get proud. They think they're not doing nothing wrong. Even in the truth, a lot of times. You can't correct Israel. They think they're doing no wrong. But back here, at least our people were humble enough. All right. Shalom, Yakin. H.O.I. LA in the building. Our people were humble enough to say, listen, we know you judging us because we sinned. But don't bring these cruel, savage people on us anymore. And I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Hold on, y'all. And that they might, the ending of 2 Maccabees 10 and 4, and that they might not be delivered unto the blasphemous and barbarous nations. Right? So they said, listen, Lord, when we sin against you, whether you chastise us with mercy, we'll bow behind. It's like your child. Your child get out of line, you discipline them. But you don't discipline them to kill them or severely hurt them. Look, let us get a butt whooping that we can feel and then have mercy on us. But don't send these devils against us. We rather you punish us directly than to send this savage nation on us. That's what Israel was saying. They considered the Greeks savages. Didn't the so-called white man, he try to call the Native Americans savage? Well, he's the real savage. He's the real damn barbarian. Even though that was an interchangeable term. All right? But he was a barbarian by nature. He was a savage. And that's what the Bible is calling him. And then we get out there and teach. Y'all get mad at us because y'all don't know the scriptures. You do error not knowing the scriptures or the power of the Lord. Or you cherry pick and say, but it's saying this scripture. Now you got to deal with the whole book. And the book itself, the Bible itself, in describing the enemy, it's cruel. It's to the point. It's harsh. It's truth. It's raw truth. Right? So you can't pick and choose what's nice. You got to deal with everything. You got to deal with the love part and the hate part. You got to deal with the war part, the peace part. Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, verses 1 through 8. All right. So 2 Maccabees 10, 1 through 4 with 2 Maccabees 15 and 2. Let me read it again. Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, O destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that seeth all things have honored with holiness above other days. Then the most ungracious wretch. See that? That's what they call Nicanor. That's what they call the so-called white man, an ungracious wretch. Right? Demanded if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Shabbat or the Sabbath day to be kept. So this devil gonna get proud and say, is there a God in heaven that commanded the 7th day to be kept? Right? That's the pride of the so-called white man. Right? That's why he got a harsh destruction as we're going to read down. All right? And yes, there is. And we don't have to get it. But Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, in the beginning, the Most High set up the Shabbat day to be kept with holy. Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Genesis 2, 1 through 3, with 2 Maccabees 15 and 3. Now, verse 4. And when they said, there is in heaven a living power, Yahweh, and mighty, who commanded the 7th day to be kept. So the Israelites was telling him, look, hey, brother, we're not on that right now, brother. Stick with the topic. All right, brother, we'll get to that. Just let me get through this, brother, all right? Yes, we do celebrate the day of Simon, all right? Let's stick with what we got, though, brother. All right? But yes, we celebrate the day of Simon, Salakia. But reading on, y'all. That was 2 Maccabees 15, 3 and 4 with Genesis 2, 1 through 3. All right, verse 5. Then said the other, and I also am mighty upon earth, and I command to take arms and to do the king's business. Yet he obtained not to have his wicked will done. All right, so here's Esau in his pride, boasting and bragging again. All right. Boasting and bragging again in his pride. All right. Because when you check it out, a lot of the Edomite Greek leaders and generals, they fashion themselves as gods, like Antiochus Epiphanes. Epiphanies mean God manifests, or like you have an epiphany, you have a manifestation from God, but he named himself that. He said, I am Antiochus Epiphanes. I am the manifestation of God. And that's how a lot of these Edomite devils, that's how they are. All right. When you had the DC sniper, the so-called DC sniper, they blamed it on a black Muslim, that Muhammad guy, which was a lie. That was all set up. That was a CIA government operation to push more terrorism laws in the land. But they were giving out tarot cards. And on the tarot cards, it would say death, and I am God, and this and that. And they was trying to make it seem like Lee Boyd Malvo and John Muhammad was sending out them cards. Nah, that was the government and the CIA sending out a subliminal message through the tarot cards saying that we are God, and we're doing this, making you believe is these black Muslim men that we're going to label terrorists. But we are really God-like figures on the earth, and we're behind all of this. That's what the CIA and the government was really doing. But they was messing with people's mind with the tarot cards. If you're a Muslim, what the hell you doing playing with tarot cards? You should have saw right there. That was the government. That was the CIA, their witches, and their warlocks, and they were playing a mind game on the people. But they had these tarot cards saying death and I am God and these different things. Go back to the DC sniper situation and study that, right? But reading on. Verse 6. So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him. So he basically was saying, listen, I'm going to kill Judas and I'm going to chop up parts of his body and hang them up and make it a public monument, right? You see the evil and the pride of the so-called white man? Like during slavery, and I was going into that the other day. During slavery, that's what they used to do. All right, they used to hang us, lynch us, and not even during slavery, in modern day time. How do they do that now? You know what they do now? They kill us and they take our body parts. Same thing back then. All they was doing back then, he was saying he was going to kill Judas and chop up parts of his body and make it for a public monument. What they do now, they do it privately. They kill our people, chop our bodies up, take our organs, and put them in the bodies of old 80-year-old Edomites that want to try to live another 50 years because they got $20 billion in the bank and they want to keep living. All right, that's all they do. Same thing. No difference. The apple don't fall too far from the tree. But this is Proverbs 21:4. Proverbs 21:4. And high look and a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin. Meaning, when it says plowing, meaning their ways. All right, like you plow when you plant crops, like sowing seeds. They sow seeds of wickedness. So the plowing of the wicked is sin. Right? So the Most High said again, Proverbs 21:4. And high look and a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin. So that's Proverbs 21:4 with 2 Maccabees 15:6. Again, let me read 6 again. So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him. But Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him. See that? That's how a lot of y'all ask sometimes over the years, like, how do y'all go out there and teach? Right? How do y'all go out there and teach? Like, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to make a bold statement. Over the years, some of you other Israelites out there, like individualites, whatever, I ain't starting trouble, nothing, is the truth. A lot of y'all, you hate the camps. But you know what it is? I figured it out. I figured out this is a part of it. A lot of y'all hate the camps because y'all can't do what we do. The spirit, for whatever reason. Maybe you wasn't called to do street ministry. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you're a shook one like Mobb Deep said. I don't know. Maybe you're a coward. You yellow, as Esau would say. I don't know. You don't have confidence. You didn't build your confidence up. You're not bold enough, but you don't have that spirit to go toe-to-toe with the people out there in the streets. So a lot of y'all hatred for camps, it actually comes from you're not able to do what we do. Now, why do I say that? Because, and that's not to be arrogant or proud or negative or anything. And it's not because I myself have been a man that been going to camp for years. But I serve Israel I don't just go to camp. A lot of y'all get proud with that too. You think you all that because you just go on the street corner. You don't know what we do. Feast days. We do charitable things. We build. We have classes, ministries. And we don't brag about everything we do. A lot of stuff is behind the scenes. You don't have to see everything. Oh, you need to put that or post that up. No, we don't. We don't have to show Israel everything that's being done. But what if we did just go out and teach our people? What's wrong with that? A lot of y'all woke up from us teaching y'all on the street. We going out there saving souls, thousands of them, probably millions now, hundreds of thousands. A lot of people woke up to this truth from street ministry. So, because we're not doing anything wrong. You say we're condemning people. No. The camps go out there. Everything we do, we back up with scripture. A lot of y'all get mad and y'all hate on us because you can't do it. Let's just call a spade a spade. Like Paul said, I'm going to come to a little foolish boasting. But this is not really about boasting or being proud. But I notice a lot of people that's always condemning the camps, you don't go out and teach your people a damn thing. Because you don't, the Most High, he didn't give you the spirit, or you too scared to embrace the spirit, or whatever it is. A lot of it is fear. A lot of it's fear. A lot of y'all are scared of this system and the so-called white man. But anyway, either way, whatever. That's between you and the Most High. You know, I can't say nobody not going to be saved because of that or whatever. But that's what it is. You condemn the camp a lot because you can't do it. The spirit is not with you. Right? Right? So, you know, whatever the case may be. All right? I'm not here to judge nobody's worthiness or works, but you hate the camps for that reason. That's just true. Right? But let's read on. It says, but Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him. Right? The reason why I said all that to say, a big reason why we're able to go out there and teach our people, because we have confidence that the Lord will help us. Right? We have confidence that the Most High Power Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach Yahushai, would help us. He would be with us. Yeah, we know. We putting our life on the line. People want to kill us. They hate us. Other Israelites hate us. You know, other Israelites have come up to camps and tried to be violent towards brothers and do different things to brothers because they were teaching the word. I'm talking about other Israelites because they were mad brothers was out there. All right, this is Hebrews 10:35. Hebrews 10:35 to go with 2 Maccabees 15:7. All right, so like, y'all, this is sort of an impromptu lesson, but I plan to do it anyway. Hebrews 10:35. Cast not away therefore your confidence, which have great. Cast not away therefore. Let me slow down. Cast not away therefore your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. Right? See, when you have confidence, it has great recompense of reward. That's why I said, he that served the Most High, you must have faith. Without faith, it's impossible to serve him. So you got to have faith that the Most High will be with you in any situation. And if you don't be delivered, if you got to suffer, whatever you might go through, that was the will of the Most High. Right? Maybe he wanted to test you. Maybe it was your time. Maybe you had to go through that affliction. You had to go through that suffering. Maybe it was a sin you did in the past, and now it was your time to get jacked up for it. Either way is all of the Most High. Everybody understand? Give me a con 777. So I'm saying that to bring it up to modern day time. The reason why we're able to go out there and speak the gospel, you may not agree with our delivery. You may not say how we come out, but it's a spirit to it. It's a technique. Because we have that confidence in Yahweh Ba'Shem and Mashiach Yahushai that they will defend us when we go out there to edify our people. All right. Verse 8. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, because the Greek army was coming against Judas and the Maccabees to destroy them. Because during this time, what happened is, when you read throughout the Maccabees and get the history, y'all got to read these stories on your own. Judas and the Maccabees and the Maccabean revolt, that was the last real holdout. Because everybody that wanted to fight and defend the nation, they joined with Judas. So they was really the last holdout. Everybody else was either scared, compromised, they wasn't a threat, or they were fighting with the Greeks. So that's why it was so important to destroy Judas and the Maccabean revolt, because they were the last holdout, the last strong major holdout against the Greek Inquisition. All right? It says, but to remember the help from which in former times that they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which shall come unto them from the Almighty. See that? He said, remember our forefathers, remember Gideon and David and the different Israelite wars and campaigns where the Most High defended Israel. Remember Moses, remember Egypt. So he was telling them, look, don't worry about the Greeks and their army coming to destroy us. Think back to when the odds was against us in ancient time, when the Most High still defended us. All right. So 2 Maccabees 15:9. And so comforting them out of the law and the prophets, and withal putting them in mind of the battles that they won afore, he made them more cheerful. And he said, look at the battles that we won recently. Because when you read through our 2 Maccabees, is going in depth into the war campaigns of Judas Maccabees. That's what 2 Maccabees goes into. So Judas is saying, look, even as of recent, not only going back in the history, but as of, look how the Most High, it's like you say, yo, man, the Lord was with us last week, man. Right? The Lord was with us last week. He you know, remember last time, it's like a brother's a little fearful to go to camp. Like we might have a certain camp spot that's dangerous. Like, yo, wow, spirits be rising up out there. Yo, we've been going out there for like a year. Most High always protected us. We was always good. They make their face hard. We make our face hard against theirs. Remember that time we got into that incident and remember the Most High delivered us out of that? Remember the police came and they turned on the people that was against us? Whatever the case may be. One time we was in Hollywood. We was teaching on Hollywood Boulevard. And this Edomite kept threatening us and running his mouth. And the Most High raised up a brother, and a brother two-pieced his ass. Bop, bop. Right? South Central style, Watts, Compton style, Long Beach, LBC, whatever. Two-pieced them. Boop, boop. Leave the brothers alone. Police came. They try to get us in trouble. We was like, no, we didn't touch you. We was just teaching. And what happened is we said, you keep coming against us, the Most High going to judge you. Within 2 minutes, brother caught two-pieced them. Pop, pop, rocked Esau. And he was threatening what he was going to do to us. And we were just teaching. So my point being, we might go out to camp this week and we might say, damn, Hollywood is wild, man. Spirits out there. Yo, I remember that time that Edomite came against us and the Most High raised that brother up and judged him. Right? So, you know, just an example. That's what Judas was doing. All right. It says, and so comforting them out of the law and the prophets, and withal putting them in mind of the battles that they won afore, he made them more cheerful. Right. So he comforted them out of the word and the prophets. This is our comforter right here. This is our comforter right here, Israel. All right. Let's go to Romans 15:4. Now, there was a brother running around by the name of Tazadakia, and he was calling himself the God-sent comforter. He was calling himself the Holy Spirit, right? That brother, he perished. He passed away in COVID. I'm not going to mock the brother, you know, whatever. The Most High spoke in that situation. Most High took him. All right. The brother got sick during COVID and passed away. He was running around claiming he was a God-sent comforter, I believe, from like 2009, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even earlier. 2020, he passed away. Because no man is the comforter. No man is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the Most High, Yahweh, and the knowledge of his word. Right? No man. Muhammad, your Muslim prophet is not the comforter. The comforter is the Holy Spirit. All right? The word of the Most High, by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai, that comes through Yahweh, and gives us the understanding. Right? This is Romans 15 and 4. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. It said, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So that's our comfort. And when Paul said here, patience and comfort of the scriptures, he's talking about the law and the prophets. The true comforter is the Bible. Let's get one more. 2 Corinthians 1 and 1. And maybe it's time for an updated lesson on that, the comforter. Because you got to go in St. John and break that down. The comforter, which is the Holy Spirit. But Yahweh said it right there. You can really read one scripture and it's a wrap. Right? 2 Corinthians 1 and 3. Blessed be Yahweh, even the Father of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushua, the Father of mercies and the power of all comfort, who comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of Yahweh. It don't get no more comfy than that. Y'all feel comfortable now? That's enough comfortability for all of us. The scripture said right there through Paul. The comfort comes from the Most High Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. So, like I said, it's not to mock the brother enough that I came up with the brother. It was actually sad the Most High took him. But let's take that as a serious lesson. Don't be giving yourself titles. That's dangerous, man. Now, that's borderline blasphemy. You calling yourself the Holy Spirit. And you a man on the earth that eat, drink, ish, whatever, like everybody else. That's the problem. One of the biggest problems in Israel is you got too many HNICs. To the point where brothers will start taking scriptures and applying themselves to men and entities in the scripture. Which, we do believe in regeneration. Some of us may be the ancient men back on the earth today, but let the Most High reveal that. And even if you think you feel like it's being shown to you, keep that between you and the Most High. Stay humble with it. Just say, hey, I'm still hoping I'm worthy to be counted in that number of the Most High. But for now, I know he called me and I'm going to serve him. And when that day come, if Yahweh put that crown on my head and say, well done, servant, right? You one of the 12, you one of the prophets, you one of the disciples, whatever, right? Then humbly take your position. All right? Shalom and Zabach. So reading on, it says, that's the truth, understanding on the comforter. 2 Maccabees 15 and 9 with 2 Corinthians 1, 3 and 4 and Romans 15 and 4, right? And tons of other scriptures on the comforter. Verse of 10, and when he had stirred up their minds, he gave them their charge, showing them therewithal the falsehood of the heathen and the breach of oaths. Because that's what it is. The so-called white man, he breached oaths. Like, he made over 400 peace treaties with the so-called Native Americans and didn't keep not one of them. It tell you in Psalms 55:21, the words of his mouth, Shalom Anatazak, H.O.I, DMV in the building. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. All right, because when you read in the other account of Nicanor, he tried to act like he was friendly with Judas, but he was a snake in the grass, just like Esau is now, man. Didn't Esau act like he wanted to come here and be brothers with the Native Americans, learn how to farm and wash, and what happened? When God got comfortable with them and said, we're going to teach y'all the ways of the land, they slew them and killed them. Right? They was taking, what happened, Esau would come over here. I was watching a documentary on the History Channel about that years ago. Esau would come over here and they would kill 1 or 2 Gadites, right? They would kill 1 or 2 Gadites and they would take them back to Europe, right? And they would cut their body parts open and study Gad's body and mechanism, right? This devil got to pay, man. This so-called white man has to pay. They would cut up Gad's bodies and study their organs, their muscle tissue, their mechanisms and everything, so that when they sent other Edomites over here, they knew how to deal with Gad physically. That's why they was so violent amongst Gad, because they was like, these are some strong people. We gotta be severe. We gotta be like barbarous, blasphemous, savage, cruel people with them. Because they're strong, their bone structure and muscle mass and tissue, yeah. They went back with they bodies. They would come over, kill 1 or 2 Gadites and take them back, take their bodies back to Europe and cut up their bodies and study their bodies and be like, okay, now we know how their body mechanism works. We know how to, deal with them. You got to deal with them with violence. Right? Y'all watched that movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. I did a review on that, of how they was killing the Native Americans that had discovered oil here in the States and taking their oil and riches from them. Right? Making them sign all kinds of contracts, marrying into them. Watch it. It's called Killers of the Flower Moon, based upon a true story. All right? So this devil is savage, man. He got a lot to pay for. Right? Shalakia, y'all. Verse 11, 2 Maccabees 15:11. Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with defensive shields and spears, as with comfortable and good words. There's that comfort again. All right. And beside that, he told them a dream worthy to be believed, as if it had been so indeed, which did not a little rejoice them. All right. So, in other words, he's going to tell him a dream that he had that seemed real, even though it was a dream, but it seemed real, and it actually was real. We're going to show you that. All right. It says, and this is his vision, that Onias, who had been high priest. You can go back to the beginning of 2 Maccabees and you read about Onias the third. He was a righteous high priest. But you had guys like Jason, Alchemus, Hellenized Jews, or Jews that want to follow the Greek customs, that want to take over the priesthood and rule under Esau and get favor with Esau. Right? They want to sell the people out. And they said, let me be the leaders. I'll deliver the people to you as long as you let me lead over them. But Onias was like, no, we're going to deal with the Most High and H.O.I and the truth. All right, so reading on, it says, and this was his vision, that Onias, Salaki, I read that. 2 Maccabees 15:12 again. And this was his vision, that Onias, who had been high priest, a virtuous and a good man, reverent in conversation, gentle in condition, well-spoken also, and exercised from a child in all points of virtue, holding up his hands, prayed for the whole body of the Jews. Right? So, just like it tells you in James the 5th chapter, the effectual prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So you want a man like Onias praying for the nation. Look at his resume. They said he was a virtuous man, a virtuous and a good man, reverent in conversation, gentle in condition, well-spoken also, and exercised from a child in all points of virtue. This is his resume. This is an upright man. So you want a man like this praying for the nation, especially against the enemy, for deliverance and protection and mercy from the Most High. All right, Salakia, this done in like manner, there appeared a man with gray hairs and exceeding glorious, who was of a wonderful and excellent majesty. Then Onias answered, saying, this is a lover of the brethren, who prayeth much for the people and for the holy city, to wit, Jeremiah, the prophet of Yahweh. So he's telling them this vision that he's having of Jeremiah appearing to him. All right. And it says, verse 15, Salakia, 2 Maccabees 15:15. Salaki, y'all bear with me, it's late. Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold, and in giving it spake thus, take this holy sword, a gift from Yahweh, which with the which thou shalt wound the adversary. So he said, listen, Jeremiah came in a vision and gave Judas a golden sword and said, take this sword and fight against the enemy and the adversary. All right. Now, when was that filmed? I mean, when was that? Salakia, when was that prophesied and fulfilled? All right. See, the scriptures are not always written in chronological order. So when did this take place? In Judas's earlier battles, Onias is letting the people know this vision he had of Jeremiah giving this golden sword to Judas Maccabees and telling him, go and fight the enemy with this sword. It took place during a battle that Judas actually had. All right. And let me read. This is 1 Maccabees 3 and 10. It says, then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together and a great host out of Samaria to fight against Israel, which thing when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him, and he smote him and slew him. Many also fell down slain, but the rest fled. Wherefore Judas took their spoils, and Apollonius sword also, and therewith he fought all his life long. See that? So that vision in 2 Maccabees that Jeremiah had of that golden sword that Judas was going to take to fight against the enemy, it was fulfilled when he defeated Apollonius and took Apollonius' sword. He took the enemy's sword and fought for the rest of his life with that sword. And Jeremiah told him that's how you're going to defeat the enemy, through a vision that Onias had. All right. So a lot of times things are not written in chronological order, but you got to go back. That's why it's precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Right. Reading on, it says, thus being well comforted, there's the comfort again, by the words of Judas. It didn't say some man had to come and be the Holy Spirit. They were comforted by the words of Judas. Because Judas was going back to the Most High, Yahweh, the law, the prophets, and righteous visions and dreams that they were seeing that the Most High was going to be with them. All right. It says, which were very good and able to stir up to valor and to encourage the hearts of the young men. That's why in the laws of war in Deuteronomy 20, if you're scared, you got to stay home. You got to stay back with the women and children. Because what happens? You will bring fear into the rest of the camp. If you fearful and scared and like you're not ready to, everybody got to be ready to go all out. So that's why you said, look, if you're scared, you got to stay home. That was in the laws of war. You couldn't be scared going out to war. All right. Let me see real quick. First Maccabees. Let me get it real quick, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. First Maccabees 3 and 56. First Maccabees 3 and 56. But as for such as were building houses, or had betrothed wives, or were planting vineyards, or were fearful, those he commanded that they should return, every man to his own house according to the law. See that? So, all right. Anyway, Judas right here was saying the same thing. Go back to the laws of war. If you're fearful, you got to go back home. You can't come out to fight. So that's what I'm saying. Everybody had to be brave and have confidence when they were going out to war. Again, 2 Maccabees 15:17. That was 1 Maccabees 3:56. Thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good, and able to stir up to valor and to encourage the hearts of the young men, they determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them and manfully to try them out by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger. See that? Our people said, look, without our connection to the Most High, we got to fight, man. And that's how we got to be now. Do you know that's why we going out there teaching y'all? It's spiritual war now. It's not physical. But we're going to spiritual war. We going out there saying, look, our people are lost. They're not telling you the truth. Y'all got to learn this. Y'all got to learn this stuff. We enduring the war of education. It's a war of education. It's a war where they misled our people. And now we got to come back and fight that spiritual war to get the lies. We read that tonight in camp. We went into Revelations 12 and 15 where Esau put out the flood of lies. And then we went into Sirach 21 where we got to put out the flood of wisdom now. So it's a war. Yeah, I don't think because we're not going out there with swords and chopping heads. I mean, we went out there and had to get busy. We used to fight like hell years ago when we were younger. Because we were much more raw. Now we're more, you know, our temperament is better now. We're older, we're wiser, we're more patient. But we was young. We used to be like, man, you don't like it? Get the hell out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we call people names. We were younger, immature then. But in our maturity, we avoid confrontation now because we're more skillful teachers. We know how to not be provocative, even though the truth is provocative, if that makes sense. But we used to get busy. We used to have to defend the word all the time. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Y'all wanna fight us for saying the truth? What's good? You know, bop, 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 bop. Yo, Ak, bail me out. You know what I'm saying? We was fighting for righteousness. But, you know, and that time they come back. Like the rapper Killer Priest said, fought physical in a spiritual fight. But right now it's spiritual Israel. Don't go out there thinking you're going to kill 10,000 Edomites. You're going to get a sword. No. Go out there with the sword of the tongue now. Defeat them defeat them with truth. That's our weapon right now. Going out there and bringing our people back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High Yahweh. All right, reading on. It says, for the care that they took for their wives and their children, their brethren and kinsfolk was in least account with them. But the greatest and principal fear was for the temple. Now, that don't mean they didn't love their wives, their children, their brethren. That don't mean that. But what did it mean? Their first love was serving the Most High and the Mashiach Yahushua. That's what it's talking about. All right? So don't get simple, you know. Y'all brothers, you see, you can't love your wives and your children and your family. You can't, you know. No, it's not talking about that. All right? It's talking about the first love. Your first love is serving the Most High Yahushua, because without that, we're nothing as a nation. All right. Let me see what I want. Let me see. Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 6. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 9 verse 6. For though a man be never so perfect among the children of men, yet if thy wisdom be not with him, he shall be nothing regarded. So if our wisdom, the law, statutes, and commandments, and us being able to serve the Most High, without that, we're nothing. So that's what they said. Their main and principal fear was for the holy temple, because Shalom, brother outsides. I hope if I'm pronouncing it right, but that's what they said. Listen, we're nothing. Our families are nothing. Our children, our brethren are nothing if we don't have our connection back to the Most High. That's what they said. So if Nicanor and the Greeks come in and destroy us in the temple and totally take over, we're done. We're going to be in subjection to these cruel people as their slaves and servants. And what's going to happen to us? So we got to fight to try to keep that connection to the Most High, because Psalms, it said, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Right? Shalom, son, captains in the building. All right, so we was always trying to connect back to the Most High because we knew that's where our strength was at. the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, the sacrifices, the temple, the law. We was always trying to get back to that because that's where our strength was at. Everybody understand? Give me a con 777. All right, it says, also they that were in the city took not the least care, being troubled for the conflict abroad. Right? Shalom. Happy day of Judas Maccabees. Happy day of Nicanor's destruction. So they said, listen, we can't care about nothing else but getting our connection back to the Most High. Why you think this society teaches us to break the commandments? Just got paid Friday night. But some of y'all, you believe the Sabbath is all kinds of days now. But, not taking a shot at nobody. It is what it is. But this system, why you think they put pork in everything? Pork in sneakers, pork in toothpaste, pork in deodorant. Again, what the hell is pork? I was reading somewhere they were putting pork enzymes in chicken cutlets. White meat, whole white meat chicken cutlets. You don't like the skin and the bone. You get you some cutlets, cut them up, make you chicken tenders, whatever you do, make a salad. They injecting swan hormones into the chicken to keep you unclean, to keep you away from the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. All right? So our forefathers understood that. We got to connect back to the Lord because that's where our strength and power is. All right? Verse 20. 2 Maccabees 15:20. We almost home. And now, when as all looked what should be the trial, and the enemies were already come near, and the army was set in array, and the beasts conveniently placed, and the horsemen set in wings, Maccabees, seeing the coming of the multitude, and the diverse preparation of armor, and the fierceness of the beasts, stretched out his hand toward heaven, and called upon Yahweh, that worketh wonders, knowing that victory cometh not by arms, but even as it seemeth good to him, he giveth it to such as are worthy. So Judas was like, look, all that big army they got, all the beast and all the armor, and we outnumbered, don't worry about that. If the Most High is with you, that means nothing. All right, Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21. I always like to link this up with this verse. Proverbs 21 and 30. I believe it is. Proverbs, let me get it. Proverbs 21 and 31. Salakia. Proverbs 21:31. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of Yahweh. There you go. All right. It says the horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is from Yahweh Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushua. You see that? So, just like it said in Maccabees, right? He's seen the beasts and all the preparations of armor and all the fierceness of the army. Judas got him 3,000 men. It said Nicanor had a mighty host. But Solomon said the horses get prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. Right? You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody coming against you like in Palestine. They be over there with the Israelis, be having their tanks and everything, and the Palestinians will throw a damn rock or a Molotov cocktail, and it'll just jack their damn tank up. Because the Lord was with them. The Lord said, look, I'm going to let you win this little battle right here. So, the Most High fights for the underdog, especially the underdog Israelites. So, a lot of times, if the Lord is with you, no matter what, no weapon formed against thee shall prosper. Isaiah 54. All right, so reading on, it says, 2 Maccabees 15:22. Therefore, in his prayer, he said, after this manner, O Yahweh, thou didst send thine angel in the time of Ezekiel, king of Judea, meaning Hezekiah. All right. And didst slay in the host of Sennacherib 180,500. Sennacherib was an Assyrian king that tried to come and invade the northern kingdom of Israel. The southern kingdom of Israel. Like he invaded the northern kingdom. He thought he was going to conquer the southern kingdom like they were able to conquer the northern kingdom. But it wasn't time. The Babylonians was prophesied to, the Babylonians were prophesied to, Salakia. The Babylonians were prophesied to conquer the southern kingdom. It wasn't for the northern kingdom. I mean, you know, it wasn't for them. It was for the Babylonians to conquer them. Salakia, y'all. All right. Where's that story with Sennacherib? All right, and I'm saying it right. I think it's First Kings, or is it Second Kings? Somebody put it in the chat for me if y'all know that story with Sennacherib. All right. I think it's yeah, somebody put it in the chat if y'all know where that story is at. Is it Second Kings or First Kings? Second Kings. All right, I'll find it. I'll find it. Salakia. I'll find it. Salakia. But he was saying that going back to whenever Israel had a host against them, right? The Most High would defend them. So anybody that had faith in the Most High or confidence and prayed to him, I'm going to get it right now, y'all, Salakia. The Most High was with him, you know? 185,000 soldiers. Salakia. Where my scholars at? All right. It was not even giving me the scripture in the blue letter. Where my scholars at? Find that scripture for me, y'all, real quick. I know it's second. I believe it's Second Kings. All right. Second Kings. Second Kings 18. Salakia, y'all. Yeah, Second Kings the 18th chapter. My bad. When the Most High, he killed, yeah, Second Kings the 18th chapter. You start somewhere around the 20, somewhere in the 20s. All right. Yeah, Second Kings, I believe, is the 18th chapter. Yeah. Yeah, so start at 2 Kings 18 and 13. Yeah. All right. And when you read down, you want to read down, and it's going to tell you, just read, yeah. 2 Kings 18, the water, Daniela. Daniela Salakia. Yeah, 2 Kings 18, and you start at around 13, Salakia. Or read the whole chapter for homework. So, Judas right here, let me read that again. Therefore, in his prayer, he said after this manner, O Yahweh, thou didst send thine angel in a time of Hezekiah, king of Judea, and didst slay in the host of Sennacherib 185,000, meaning 185,000. All right. Score means is 20, and 4 means 80. So he said, I'm gonna go back to the time whenever Israel was outnumbered, and that the Lord just sent an angel and killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers that was trying to invade southern Israel before it was time for the Babylonians to come and invade them. All right. See, a lot of the heathen nations, they were greedy. That's why the Lord had the Babylonians come and conquer the Assyrians empire. That's why when you read in Judith, I believe it is, The Babylonian Empire is referred to as the Assyrian Empire. And the reason why that would happen, is because when a nation conquered another nation, that became, like, let's say America conquered Canada. Technically, America be called the Kingdom of Canada because they conquered Canada now also. So that's why even the Babylonians was called the Kingdom of Assyria because they conquered the Assyrian kingdom. All right. Yeah, 20 and 37. Chapter 20 and verse, no, there's no 37. But either way, 2 Kings, the 18th chapter, right? With the story about the 185,000 being killed. But the point being, he's going back. Shalom Zephaniah. He's going back to that time and telling Israel, look, the Most High sent an angel to kill 185,000 of our enemies. You think he can't do that to this Greek army? All right, again, verse 23 now. Wherefore now also, O Yahweh, Lord of heaven, send a good angel before us for a fear and dread unto them. Again, the Most High said in the laws of war, back in Exodus, he can send an angel before us to put fear in our enemies. So by the time we get to them, they scared to death. You know, we conquer them. We destroy them and conquer them with no problem. Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs. All right, from the walls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. You know, Esau got all these proud war songs about him conquering. Right? I came, I saw, I conquered. So they singing and chanting and playing trumpets like, yeah, you know, like we coming to conquer. All right. But it says here, but Judas and his company, right? Because Esau is proud. And that's another thing. When you go to war, you got to be humble also. You got to have pride and confidence in the Most High defending you, but you also got to be humble. All right. So a lot of times, when even like in a fight sometime, if a certain component is proud and you know, oh, I'm going to just dust them off, whatever. A lot of times that's the person that get their ass whooped. Because you got to come into a fight humble and serious, like, you know, especially when it comes to us, we got to believe that the Most High will have our back. All right. Let me see. Salakia. I was just looking up something real quick. All right. Reading on, it says, but Judas and his company encountered the enemies with invocation and prayer. All right. Invocation meaning they were calling on the Most High. Most High Yahweh power, defend us. Defend us. Kwam Yashala. Defend us against these enemies. Yahweh Bashima Mashiach Yahushai. Kwam Yashala. Defend us against the enemy. They was talking to the Most High and praying, sending up prayers as they was about to go to battle. But Esau blowing trumpets and singing songs like it's sweet. You know, cheer. They already cheering already like they won already. Yeah, you cheer afterwards. But that, you know, they go on to fight. They, you know what I'm saying? Haraga yab yad. Kill our enemies. You know what I'm saying? Einash, right? Punish our enemies. Right? They chant to the Most High and sending up prayers as they go into battle. Invocation and prayer. All right, so that fighting with their hands and praying unto Yahweh with their hearts. You know, stabbing a Greek through the heart. Right? All praises to Yahweh. Ha! Don't mind me, y'all. No folly. See that? They was calling on Yahweh as they was killing the enemy. It says, so that fighting with their hands and praying unto Yahweh with their hearts, meaning their minds, they slew no less than 35,000 men, for through the appearance of Yahweh, they were greatly cheered. Right? See that through the appearance of the Most High's power, they were greatly cheered. So with 3,000, they killed 35,000 of the Greek army. And you know, it might have been Greeks up in there, other nations, even wicked Israelites. All right, and all that because the Most High was with them. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of Yahweh Ba'ashem and Mashiach Yahushua. All right, Most High with you. We don't have to get it, but you can get Isaiah 44:1. David said, "Blessed be Salakia." Let me just get it. Salakia, y'all. I got over a cold I had for like a while now. I'm just still battling under the weather. All right. Psalms 144:1. Blessed be Yahweh my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. All right, see that? So the Most High, he got to be with you in the fight. It says, so that fighting with their hands and praying unto Yahweh with their hearts, they slew no less than 30 and 5,000 men, for through the appearance of Yahweh they were greatly cheered. Meaning through the Most High's power, they were able to defeat enemy that had 10 times, but 3,000 and 35,000. That's 10 times more. Plus the extra 5,000 men. All right, that they had. All right, 35,000. So it says, when the battle was done, returning, Salakia. Now, when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness, right? Because Nicanor was the first to die. He had all that mouth. Y'all remember, go back to chapter 15, same chapter, verses 1 through like 6, when Nicanor was talking all that. Right? He was talking all that about, yeah, I'm going to destroy and bring this down or whatever. Is there a Sabbath that the living, this God proclaimed to be kept? I'm on the earth and I have power. Right? So it says, verse 29, then they made a great shout and a noise praising the Almighty in their own language. We all know that. Ancient Paleo Hebrew. Kwam Yashala, right? Arise, Israel. I don't know if they was actually saying that. They probably was. But they made in their own language, Hebrew. And Judas, who was ever the chief defender of the citizens, both in body and mind. He was the chief defender of the citizens, meaning his own people. When it says of the citizens, meaning his own people. And who continued his love toward his countrymen. You can't say the Bible, Shalom, daughter. What you doing up? All right? You can't say the Bible is not a racist book. Racist just means to be for your own race. We break it down all the time. A pianist plays a piano. A lyricist writes lyrics. A racist is one that loves his own race. A bicyclist rides a bike. All right? A cyclist rides a bike. A racist is one that loves his own race. That's it. All right. It said toward his countrymen. I don't want to add to the word. All his life commanded to strike off Nicanor's head and his hand with his shoulder and bring them to Jerusalem. See, he was so proud. And this is what he said he was going to do to Judas. He said he was going to kill Judas and cut up his body. All right, baby, Salakia, I forgot. I forgot that quick, Salakia. He was going to cut up his body and make it a public monument. Now, what Nicanor thought to do to Judas, the Most High reversed it. He's a mastermind. That's what we're going to read about tomorrow in Purim. When Haman wanted to hang Mordecai, the Lord turned it around. And the same gallows that Haman the Edomite made to hang our brother Mordecai the Benjamite, Haman got hung on them same gallows when the Most High reversed the judgment. That's what the Lord did here. This devil was so proud. He was so proud. He said, I'm going to kill. And when you read the account in 1 Maccabees 7, it said Nicanor bare deadly hatred against the Jews. These people hate us. They're proud. And look how the Most High destroyed them. So it says, he struck off Nicanor's head and his shoulder with and bring them to Jerusalem. So when he was there and had called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar, he sent for them that were of the tower and showed them vile Nicanor's head and the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty. Because they cut off Nicanor's head and his right hand, and he pointed to the temple with his right hand and said, if y'all don't deliver me Judas, I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to cut up his body and make it a public monument on the temple, and I'm going to destroy the temple. So with that same right hand he stretched out, the Lord chopped it off and said, we're going to hang it up as a monument. See, Esau, your pride will get you destroyed and killed. All right? Salakia, y'all reading on. You know what? Check this out. I'm going to read to show you how Esau's pride is generational, right? I'm going to read an excerpt out of this book. This book is called Shocking Secrets of American History. 115 Surprising and Amazing Tales, Salakia, by Bill Coate. Right? I was reading this and I said, look at Esau's pride. Their pride is generational. Check this out. This is a short story. I'll try not to bore y'all too much. I got this book in the discount section at Barnes & Noble. Right, check this out. This is page, let me see what page I want. Page 73 and 74 of this book. Check out the pride of Esau. You know, since we're reading about Nicanor, and since he was so proud, then the Most High mocked him and killed him. Check out this Edomite in history from the Civil War. All right? Okay. This is the final act of a true rebel. Page 73 in his book, Shocking Secrets of American History. 115 Surprising and Amazing Tales by Bill Coate. Salaki has had this book for a while. A little wear and tear, but you know, it is what it is. Check this out. Short story, a couple of paragraphs. All right, it says, the Confederate States of America had no more fervent advocate than Edmund Ruffin. Edmund Ruffin, I believe he was a Virginia legislator with the Confederate Army. Remember the so-called Civil War, the North against the South? All right, the Confederate Army against the Union Army. You know, y'all can do y'all little history on the Civil War. It says, Edmund Ruffin, right? The man was loyal to the bone, so widely known as was his patriotism that he was given the honor of firing the first shot of the Civil War, never dreaming that he was lighting the fuse of his own demise, right? He was so gun-ho for the Confederacy that he allegedly, right, fired the first shot in the Civil War. But it was going to be to his own demise. Check this out. If Southern thought and action could be represented in a single individual, then Edmund Ruffin would be the most likely candidate. Born in the early days of the Republic, meaning he was the epitome of representation of the mind frame of the South. Now, we know the South, there was no difference really between the North and the South, right? The South was just more open with their racism, and the North was just more trying to be subtle and more trying to act like, but no, the North was just as racist as the South. All of America was South. That's why a lot of our people, when they fled, they thought they was fleeing for better jobs and opportunity, and they was experiencing the same racism. All right, we're going to get into that. But I just want to read, my main point of reading this story is showing you the generational pride of Esau. We read about Nicanor the Greek. We're going to read about this Edomite, Edmund Ruffin, right? So allegedly, the first one to fire the shot in the Civil War, right? Born in the early days of the Republic, Ruffin was a Virginia farmer who experiments in soil chemistry markedly improved the productivity of Southern agriculture. He became widely known for his writings on farm subjects and then used this bully pulpit to preach the doctrines of slavery, states' rights, and secession. All right, because allegedly there was supposed to be a split with the United States. But that was all BS, right? You know what I'm saying? The real reason, well, I don't want to jump the gun. We're going to get into that. But notice it said to preach the doctrine of slavery. What was the doctrine of slavery? To make sure the Negroes stay in the cotton fields. He was a major advocate for slavery. Hatred of our people. Nicanor, 1 Maccabees 7, he bare deadly hatred against Israel. What is that? 1 Maccabees 7. Well, that's part of your homework. Read 1 Maccabees, the 7th chapter. That's part of your homework for this feast day. All right. 1 Maccabees 7:26. Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his honorable princes, and a man that bare deadly hate unto Israel, with commandment to destroy the people. Same thing. Destroy, put in subjection, enslave. So Edmund Ruffin, they said, once, you know, he had got a name in agriculture, with teaching people about agriculture, which he probably had a black man. If you dig deep enough in the history, he probably had a black slave or something, or a black man helping him, right? That was behind him, and he just took credit for it. But anyway, you know, you had somewhat smart Edomites, and you had Edomites that did stuff too. All right, but anyway, not as smart as us. But anyway, the point being, he used his popularity with agriculture to go around and start preaching his real agenda, which was slavery, states' rights, and secession, right? By 1861, Ruffin had come to hate the North with every ounce of his 67-year-old body, right? Because the North supposedly represented freedom, more liberal, you know, being more liberal, which was all BS too. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right? Sirach 12:10. It says, he admitted to having prayed on his knees that Lincoln might be elected so that it would bring on a war for Southern independence, right? Because again, they thought Lincoln was more of a liberal and a moderate, and he wanted to free the slave. That was BS too. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read about that also with Lincoln. But anyway, I just want to get to this devil's pride. The intricate details of the Civil War, that's good history to study also, right? It says, in December of 1860, when South Carolina held its secession convention, Edmund Ruffin was given a seat of honor. In the weeks that followed, he saw his picture sold all over Charleston as the wave of rebel patriotism began to swell towards its violent climax. When the moment of decision finally came, Ruffin was made a temporary gun captain and led to the shore batteries that faced Fort Sumter. There he fired the cannon shot that started the Civil War. So this is allegedly the Edomite, Edward Ruffin, that fired the first shot that started the Civil War. 6 days later, he was made an honorary member of the Palmetto Guard and even donned a Confederate uniform. Then he hobbled home to await the outcome of the struggle. 4 years later, Lee, right, General Lee, surrendered to Grant, all right? Allegedly, the North won, but that was all BS. The war was over, and no rebel was any more disillusioned than Edmund Ruffin. So check this out. So distraught was the 71-year-old that he armed himself and prepared to take aim once more. This time, however, he turned the gun on himself. In one final act of defiance, the man who fired the first shot of the Civil War ended his own life rather than endure what he was sure would be the ravages of Yankee domination. So in plain English, what that means is he would rather be dead than to see an America where Negroes was free. If everybody understand, give me a con 777. You know, Yankee, like Benjamin say, Yankee boy. That can be a term for an American, but it also can be a term for a Northern American, a specific American. So in other words, this devil was saying, I'd rather be dead than the northern, more liberal Edomites that allegedly want to do away with slavery, for them to dominate and rule the country. Everybody understand? Give me a con 777. That's what that means. In other words, I'd rather die than to see Negroes free. That's what this is saying right here. Remember, they say he used his agricultural acknowledgement. He used that to preach slavery. So he said, if we subject ourselves to the North, we're going to become a more free and liberal country, which that was never the case. Right? So this devil was so proud, he would rather die than to see an America with free Negroes. By Shema Mashiach Yahushua. You see Esau? You see Esau? Right? Let's get Isaiah 2 and 12. Shalakia. Isaiah 2 and 12. All right, this is a proud man. Isaiah 2 and 12, it says, for the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. This devil was so proud that he rather die. The Lord put a spirit on him to kill himself than to see a United States with free Negroes. Same thing. Nicanor. Nicanor was so proud. He said, if y'all don't deliver Judas up to me, I'm going to make Jerusalem a common burying place of the Jews. Right? In other words, if y'all don't bow and subject yourselves to me. Same thing with Edward Ruffin. That's why the point of me bringing all this out, all this is to say that Esau is generationally proud. He's generationally proud. He's proud throughout all his generations. He's the same spirit. All right, read on. It says, this is 2 Maccabees 15:32, and showed them Val Nicanor's head, and the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty. So Judas showed the people, he said, look at his head and his right arm. I killed the great enemy of Israel. Let's go to 1 Samuel 17. 1 Samuel 17 and 50. Everybody with me, give me a con 777. All right. 1 Samuel 17. And let me see what I want. The same thing happened with with David and Goliath. All right, how many of y'all remember that story? That's a classic. All right. Yeah. 1 Samuel 17 and 50. We're just going to read right through it, through the end of the story to give you the understanding. 1 Samuel 17 and 50. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone. Remember, he slapped Goliath in the head and killed him, right? The champion and the giant of the Philistines. All right. And smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore, David ran and stood upon the Philistine and took his sword. Didn't Judas do the same thing? When you read 1 Maccabees, the 3rd chapter and the 12th verse, didn't Judas take Apollonius' sword? David took Goliath's sword. All right. See that? A Levite and a Judite, but the Most High put the spirit on both of them to kill different nations of enemies of Israel and deal with them in the same manner. All right. So, therefore, David ran and stood upon the Philistine and took his sword. David stood up on his body and took his sword out of his sheath, violated him, because these nations hate us. Right? He said they hate us. He wanted to kill David, but David killed him. Right? It says, and drew out of the sheath, therefore, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. So he finished Goliath off and then cut Goliath's head off. All right. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way to Sharaim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents, right? Yeah. So once they defeated them, they say, yeah, go and take the spoils, take the riches. All right, it says, and David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. So David took Goliath's head and brought it to Jerusalem. 2 Maccabees 15:32, and showed them vile Nicanor's head and a hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he has stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty. So you see how the Most High could mock you? Goliath was proud. He was a Hamite. He was African. He was a Philistine. And what happened? He was proud and bragged how he was going to kill David. David killed him and took his head off and brought it to Jerusalem. Right? Nicanor bragged about how he was going to kill Judas. Or if they don't deliver Judas, he going to do this, he going to do that. He going to burn down the temple. He going to cut up Judas' body and show it to the people. What happened? Nicanor was the first to die. And Judas chopped off his head and his right arm that he stretched out to the temple and brought it forth to the people. What happened to Edward Ruffin, the guy that shot the first shot in the Civil War, saying the South wanted to succeed and be their own little nation so we can keep slavery and keep the Negroes in subjection? When he didn't win, or they didn't win and get what they want during the Civil War, the Most High had him kill himself. Because he said, I would rather be dead than to be under a country that let Negroes free. You see the pride, but you see how the Most High can mock the enemies of his people. So that pride is generational with Esau. The pride with him, all the nations. And the Most High judged them. Everybody see? So that's why I'm linking the history of Edward Ruffin up with that. All right? Yeah, just a little tad bit of history to show you the main point being the generational pride of Esau throughout different generations. Verse 33, and when he had cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls, and hung up the reward of his madness toward the temple. So as Judas said, now I'm going to cut your tongue out and I'm going to feed it to the birds since you had so much damn mouth. All right? You had so much mouth, Nicanor. Now I'm going to cut out your tongue and I'm going to feed it to the fowls of heaven. Let me see what I want. Oh my God. Let me see what I want. Bear with me real quick. Proverbs 21:23. Proverbs 21:23. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Right? So Nicanor, you didn't keep your mouth and you didn't keep your tongue. And how did you not keep it? Because you got in trouble with the Most High. And you got in trouble with Judas Maccabees. And Judas Maccabees cut that damn tongue out of your mouth for running your mouth and saying what you're going to do against Judas and Israel and the Most High and the temple. And he fed your tongue to the birds. All right, to the vultures, to the birds of prey. All right, again, Proverbs 21:23. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue, literally. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue, keepeth his soul from troubles. Nicanor didn't keep his mouth and his tongue. Right? He literally didn't keep his tongue. No pun intended. All right? No folly, y'all. Just having fun with mocking these heathens. 2 Maccabees 15:33 again. And when he had cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls and hang up the reward of his madness toward the temple. So every man prays toward the heaven, the glorious power, saying, Blessed be he that have kept his own place undefiled. He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and manifest sign unto all the help of Yahweh. So they hung up Nicanor's head to show what he thought to do to Judas was done to him by Hashem Mashiach Yahushua. All right, and all the evils that, the evils that was done to the children of Israel, it got turned on the enemy. All right. This is, let me see what I want. All right, this is 1 Maccabees 2:6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, this is Matthias Maccabees. He's given like a pep talk and a speech to Israel because he see the Greeks invading and about to take over and destroy the land and put them in subjection. He said, 1 Maccabees 2:6, and when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, Woe is me, wherefore was I born to see the misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy and the sanctuary into the hand of the strangers. Let you know the enemy and the strangers are the other nations. He's speaking about the Greeks, the other nations. All right, her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All nations. That's why I brought up the example of Goliath too. Goliath was a Hamite. And then you got Esau. So these are all our enemies, and the Most High going to judge all of them. All right? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she has become a bond slave. Right? It said of a free woman, Galatians 4, I think it's 26. But Jerusalem, which above is free, which is the mother of us all. Of a free woman, we've become a bond slave. And that's why Matthias Maccabees, he rose up and fought. Because he said, look, if we don't rise up and fight, we're all going to be in subjection under them. All right, we're all going to be in subjection. We're all going to be slaves to these Greeks. So, again, this is the next chapter in this book. This chapter is called Who Freed the Slaves? Right? With Lincoln, right? I'm going to just read this. This is interesting since we going into the Greek history and, us being slaves to the Greeks, right? This is the same book I was reading earlier, Shocking Secrets of American History, 115 Surprising and Amusing Tales by Bill Coate. All right, now check this one out. It says, President Abraham Lincoln is perhaps the most revered of all American presidents, and no small portion of his adulation has emerged from his image as the great emancipator. Lincoln freed the slaves is the household understanding of the man, but a second look at his famous Emancipation Proclamation raises a big question mark. Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, with the stroke of a pen. The president transformed the Civil War into a struggle for human freedom, which it wasn't. The Civil War wasn't really about freeing the slaves. It was about the money system. That's what it was really about. But that's another topic. We'll get into that another time. It wasn't about freeing the slaves, as we're going to read right here. It was about the money system, right? But anyway, Lincoln's order freed all of the slaves within any state or part thereof that was in rebellion against the United States of America. This is where Esau play word games, and they do that to this day. I'm going to give you an example. When they use minority, Do you know most of the time when they have minority programs, our people don't take advantage of it? Minority means white women. It means gays. It means LGBTQ. It means foreigners. It means everything. Everybody take advantage of minority programs but a Negro. Well, a white woman is a minority to her white man. Right? So they play word games with the language, right? Keep that in mind. Thus, it was that human bondage was outlawed in most of the states of the South. Later generations extol the virtue of this edict, but as a practical matter, it didn't free a single slave. Meaning what? In layman's terms, all this language using here, Esau's using here. In other words, it was a lot of wordplay, but in actuality, it didn't free not one slave. All right? It said, in the first place, the Emancipation Proclamation did nothing to eliminate the peculiar institution in Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, or Delaware. Those slave states were loyal to the Union and unaffected by the proclamation. So you can still have slaves in Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, or Delaware. But Lincoln freed the slaves, right? Likewise, 13 parishes or counties in Louisiana and the entire state of Tennessee were exempt because by 1863, they were no longer in rebellion, right? So we're not in rebellion, so that don't apply to us. It's just wordplay. It's just words. We're not in rebellion, so we can keep our slaves, right? West Virginia, which had seceded from Virginia, was, in the words of the document, left precisely as if this proclamation were not issued. When it came to West Virginia, it was like the Emancipation Proclamation wasn't even issued. What the hell is that? We keeping our slaves, right? So it was that in reality, Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation freed not one single slave. In the slave states that were not in rebellion, where Lincoln could have freed the slaves, he didn't. And in those Confederate states and portions thereof that continued by force of arms to resist the federal government, where he had no coercive power to free the slaves, he ineffectually proclaimed their freedom. In other words, the status quo prevailed. In other words, Lincoln ain't free a damn thing. All the states had a loophole around the language he used in the Emancipation Proclamation where they were like, we're not under that. And then the southern states under the Confederacy, Psalms 83, they are Confederate. The southern states of the Confederacy, they just kept their slaves by force because they said we fighting anyway. Right? Of course, slavery was finally outlawed in the United States. No, it was not. Because there was reports of the 60s all the way up. The latest documentary I saw was in 2009 and in 2015 of Negroes in America still living in slave conditions in parts of the South, like Mississippi, deep rural areas of Mississippi. They got Negroes still living as slaves today, living in shacks and everything. And then I'm going to go deeper. On these jobs every day, you still a damn slave. You go punch that clock, make pennies on the dollar where Esau is making millions and billions. That's modern day slavery. They paying us modern day slave wages because they're not paying us what they call a livable wage in America. A lot of times, man, people are struggling, especially nowadays, struggling check to check. You're not making a livable wage. A livable wage meaning you're supposed to make enough money to live. That's all it is. So it's still a modern day form of slavery. Then they trying to take slavery out of, well, no, not they trying, they taking slavery out of the history books in America, Texas, Florida. You can't teach critical race theory, whatever the hell that is. Just where you can't teach about no kind of Negro history. That's all that translates into. All this woke, we got to stop all this woke talk. That's all that translates to. All right. Of course, slavery was finally outlawed in the United States. It wasn't. But it took the 13th Amendment to the Constitution to accomplish it. The proclamation of the great emancipator fell on deaf ears as long as brothers continued to kill brothers on the battlefields of the Civil War. Because they try to make it seem like the Civil War was fought to free the slaves, which it was not. We still in slavery. All right, let's get the scriptures. Hold on one second. Let me prove that. First of all, let's get the the curse. No matter what Lincoln tried, you know, the Most High did this to us, and he said he will remain in slavery. We're gonna get until Yahweh shall return. All right, Deuteronomy 28:68. Let's get the classic. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt, meaning bondage, again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you should be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Because we wouldn't be under the Israelite laws, buy meaning redeem. Shalom, Jammeh. Shalom, Sister Courtney. Shalom, everybody. Meaning, we wouldn't be under the Israelite laws where you can be redeemed out of servitude. And remember, we bought Hebrew servants from each other. We didn't buy Hebrew slaves and bondmen. Remember, the Lord says only of the heathen can be our bondmen. So, nobody would redeem us out of servitude to the so-called white man, but Yahweh Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahushai. So, along with what this book's saying, in page 75, where it said, let me get it again. All right, the title of that chapter, page 75, it says, who freed the slaves? Lincoln never freed the slaves. Lincoln never freed the slaves. Because in Deuteronomy 28:68, it said, no man shall buy thee, no man would redeem thee. All right, so Lincoln never freed the slaves. All right, because if Lincoln was able to free the slaves, then Deuteronomy 28:68 would not be a prophecy. All right, let's go deeper into that. Let's go to Jeremiah. All right. Jeremiah, let me see what I want. Jeremiah 50:33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. So Lincoln could not free us because it wouldn't fulfill the prophecy. The Lord said, we're not free until Yahweh Shai come and get us up out of here. Psalms 126, when the Lord turned away our captivity. We were like them that dream. This is going to be like a nightmare. It's going to feel like a long nightmare when this is over and Yahweh shall get us up out of here and bring us into the kingdom. So Lincoln could not free the slaves because it would go against prophecy. All right. We're still in bondage to this day. Negroes think they're not in bondage, but they're still in, and the bondage is in their mind right now. Y'all read the Willie Lynch letter? Willie Lynch said, if my program is effective, it will last for the next 300 years and beyond. That was 1713, I believe it was, the Willie Lynch letter. And we passed 2013, and our people are still, everything in the wood. When you read the Willie Lynch letter, every time I read that, I shake. It's so real what these devils did to us and how they conditioned us and still got us conditioned in 2024. So Lincoln didn't free anybody's slaves. We still captive today. And right here in 1 Maccabees 2, 6 through 11, Mattathias was saying, listen, if we don't fight, we're going to be slaves to these Greeks. Same thing. Same thing here in America. All right. This is Revelation 18. And this is concerning Babylon the Great, right? Revelation 18:21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians, and of pipers and trumpeters, shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be, shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride, let me see, is that what I want? No. Let me see. Bear with me, y'all. Revelation 18:13, let me get right to the point. And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. All right. Let me start at 10. And standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, which is America. John was prophesying about America. All right. That mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thyine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. So what? Babylon, America was known for slavery. But it tells us Lincoln didn't free the slaves. And the Civil War wasn't really fought. It wasn't really fought about slavery. So the Civil War was fought over the money system. That's when they killed Lincoln. I think it was the Copper Ring or the OSS. Whatever the forerunner of the CIA was back then. I think it was it was either the Office of Strategic Services or the Copper Ring. Because I believe it went from the Copper Ring to the Office of Strategic Services, and then it became the CIA. All right, one of them. But the secret societies, they killed Lincoln over him manipulating the money system. All right, something to do with the greenbacks. We'll go into that another time. But when you dig deeper into that, well, at least some history and conspiracy theories bring out that Lincoln was killed because of the money, because he was going to manipulate the money system. And the elites and the secret societies in America didn't want that. And they had, what was known as the CIA back then, kill him. I think it was the OSS or the Copper Ring. We can go into that history another time. But my point being, Lincoln did not free the slaves. We're not going to be free till the return of Yahushua. That's why I said the nations, when they see the fall of Babylon, because they're going to be like, damn, we can't take advantage of the Negro, Hispanic, and Native American anymore because we're modern slaves to Esau and these other nations. You might have a rap contract and a big chain and whatever, but even then, you got to sell your soul. That's why I said souls of men. Most of the time in this society, to make it up to that status, you have to sell your soul. You got to do some kind of gay stuff, sacrifice a family member, drink blood, urine, whatever, have a sex ritual, a humiliation ritual. That's what I believe Killer Mike had. They gave him all them Grammys and then humiliated him. Because what? Even though we reward the black man with all these accolades, he's still a common crook. We're going to, after all that honoring him, we're going to march him out in handcuffs. because he's nothing but a common Negro criminal. All that great music and awards, but he's a common criminal. The black man's a common criminal. And that was mockery. Mockery for Black History Month. And I mean, we can go on and on. But that's just an example with Killer Mike. All right. But, you know, I don't want to ramble on into a tangent. But anyway, let's finish out Maccabees. But back to the fact of the matter. I just want to show that, because we was using the example of Edmund Ruffin, how he was an adamant advocate for slavery. And then when he felt like the slaves was going to be free and America was going to become more liberal under the North, I'd rather die than to see Negroes not on a cotton field. That's that pride of Esau. All right. He hanged Second Maccabees 15:35. He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of Yahweh. And they ordained all with a common decree in no case to let that day pass without solemnity, but to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month, which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, the day before Mordecai's day. Mordecai's day is another day for Purim. So tonight is the 13th of the 12th month. Tomorrow and Friday is the 14th and 15th, which are the 2 days of Purim. So day of Judas Maccabees / Nicanor's destruction is the day before Mordecai's day, which is a nickname for Purim. Y'all can read Esther chapter 10, verses 1 through 3. It tells you about the glorification of Mordecai amongst his people. So the Feast of Purim became nicknamed Mordecai's Day. All right. Second Maccabees 15:36 with Esther 10, verses 1 through 3. Thus went it with Nicanor, and from that time forth the Hebrews had the city in their power, and there will I make an end. And if I have done well, and as is fitting the story, it is that which I desired. But if slenderly and meanly, it is that which I could attain unto. Meaning the author is just saying, the author is saying, I told the story to the best of the history that I had. All right. For as it is hurtful to drink wine or water alone, and as wine mingled with water is pleasant, Salakia, and delighteth the taste, even so speech finely framed delighteth the ear of them that read the story. And here shall be an end. Meaning, he's basically saying I told the story as eloquently and clearly as I possibly can, so when you read it, you can understand it and enjoy it. That's what I believe Jason of Cyrene that wrote the Maccabees is saying. All right, so that's basically it. You know, a little bit of history on Judas Maccabees / destruction of Nicanor. A lot of scholars say that there's not a lot of information on Nicanor, so the best history you can get is from Maccabees. All right, that's why the scriptures is important, because a lot of times, some of the history and the scholars, they don't have a lot of information on the historical figures, or they do and they hide it because they don't want us to know the truth about certain things. So we got to go with the scriptures and the information that we can find to the best of our ability. This is a Nicanor, a Seleucid general. This from Wikipedia. I know sometimes y'all say Wikipedia is not the most accurate source, but it's going to go along with what is written in the story of the Maccabees. It says Nicanor was a Syrian Greek general, strategos, which is a army leader in Greek, that served the Seleucid Empire during the reigns of King Antiochus IV Epiphanes and Demetrius I Soter. He served during the Maccabean revolt in Judea, then part of the Seleucid Empire, and served for a time as governor in Jerusalem. Relations between the government and the Jewish rebels eventually turned sufficiently hostile that he threatened the priests of the Second Temple and led an army to find and defeat Judas Maccabee's followers. But he and his army were defeated at the Battle of Adasa. Nicanor was killed, his corpse was desecrated, his head and right hand hung for public display back in Jerusalem. And a new festival was declared to celebrate his defeat. Hence, the feast is commonly known as the Day of the Destruction of Nicanor, or the Day of Nicanor's death, or destruction of Nicanor. All right? But in also honoring Judas Maccabees, we also call it the Day of Judas Maccabees, or Feast of Judas Maccabees. Right? Not exalting Judas Maccabees to worship a man. Don't get simple. But just like Purim is also nicknamed Mordecai's Day. So we nickname the destruction of Nicanor Judas Maccabees Day. It's simple. No rhyme or reason to it. As Seleucid literature was ultimately not preserved, almost all of what is known of Nicanor comes from the Jewish books, First Maccabees and Second Maccabees, of course. The Vatican, the tombs under the Vatican, these different secret libraries, the 42nd Street Library in Times Square, they might got all kinds of documents on Nicanor that they don't want us to find. All right. From the Jewish books, First Maccabees and Second Maccabees. These books were preserved by becoming part of the Septuagint, a collection of Jewish writings in Greek that would serve to become the basis of the Christian Old Testament. So that's it. I just want to, y'all can read up more on it on your own. But let me see. First Maccabees 9 and 17. First Maccabees 9:17. Whereupon there was a sore battle, insomuch as many were slain in both parts. Judas also was killed, and the remnant fled. So this is when First Maccabees, you read First Maccabees, the 9th chapter, when Judas is killed. Then Jonathan and Simon took Judas, their brother, and buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers in Modin. Moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel made great lamentation for him and mourned many days, saying, how is the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel? They said, Judas Maccabees was so damn mighty. They said, how's the mighty man fallen? Right? They like, you can't conquer Judas. Right? That's how great the Most High can make a man, to where the point where people, even Esau, even a lot of our people in the world in general, they think Esau can't be defeated. That's how mighty the Lord can make you in the sight of men. All right, so it says, how is the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel? And also it was like a concern. Damn, we lost our chief defender. Judas, he's our Israel's chief defender. It says, moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel, so like I read that. Verse 22, as for the other things concerning Judas and his wars, and the noble acts which he did, and his greatness, they are not written, for they were very many. So on this day, we honor Judas also, because his valiant and brave acts, there were many. All right, and we can go on. The history is vast, so that's about it, y'all. Happy day of Nicanor's destruction. Happy day of Judas Maccabees. If y'all learn one thing tonight in this lesson, of course, like I always say, it's supposed to be short, and I end up going forever. But if y'all learn one thing tonight in this lesson, I've done my job. All praise to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. You can get this book, Shocking Secrets of American History, 115 Surprising and Amusing Tales by Bill Coate. There's a lot of funny stuff in here, too, where he's actually, like, mocking a lot of the American government and so-called forefathers, founding fathers and patriarchs. Right? They were, the water brother Elijah. So like I was getting on you a little bit earlier, but I like y'all to stay on topic. But yeah, we do celebrate Simon Maccabee's days also. First Maccabees chapter 13. But there's a lot of mockery in that book about American history, and you think our great founding forefathers, them guys were derelicts, drug addicts, suicidal, cannibals, all kinds of stuff, man. And a lot of times what Esau do, he'll make something into like a joke to lighten it up. But you be like, damn, these people was off. All right, so y'all can get that book. It's by Bill Coate again. Shocking Secrets of American History. 115 surprising and amusing tales by Bill Coate. All right, I'll be sharing all my books with y'all, man. Nah. So like y'all, I'll be a little stingy with my books, but I share with y'all sometime. But anyway, knowledge is power, and each one teach one, and that's what we here for. So it's all good. All right, so Salakia, bear with me. Still a little bit under this weather, but I'm here, Israel, and Salakia. Oh. Like Yahushua said, if he be lifted up, he will draw all men unto us. So I know this is a very, very, very late night lesson, Salakia. We went out to camp in New York. We like to still get the word out on the street level, even if a feast day falls on a camp day. And then I said I came inside. I promised everybody I would do a late lesson. Shout out to some of the other H.O.I states. They did earlier lessons, around prime time, 7, 8 o'clock, when everybody usually listen. But I said after camp, I'll come in and still do a lesson on a late night. All right, these are the sacrifices we make to get this word out to y'all. Okay? So hope y'all enjoyed the lesson once again. Salakia. Oh, let me get that all right, Salakia. No. Yeah, I showed the book enough times already. So again, Ashar Yawam Yahawara Makwabaf Wa Ashar Yawam Nicanor. Happy day of Judas Maccabees and happy day of the destruction of Nicanor. Don't be laughing at my headpiece, y'all. No, I look like a damn Moor. Nah, no folly. I'm just having fun, y'all. But if y'all learn one thing tonight, I've done my job. All praises to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahushai. And get this word, Israel. That's it. So, like I said, Salakia for the late but early lesson. So again, happy feast of destruction of Nicanor. Happy feast of Judas Maccabees 2024. Tomorrow we will be live for the first day opening of Purim. We will be live on H.O.I class on YouTube. Subscribe to H.O.I class on YouTube. We'll be live tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time by Shema Mashiach Yahushua. Again, Israel, get your calendars. Get your feast day calendars for 2024. Inbox me, pre-order, because the next batch is on their way. When the batch come in, it's first come, first serve. So pre-order. So the next batch, we in February already, but y'all still got 10 months. We in February celebrating the great destruction of our Greek enemies. So get your H.O.I 2024 High Holy Day Feast calendar so you can keep up with the feast days. All right, so that's it. Any questions or comments? Email houseofisraelnyc@gmail.com. For donations, love offerings, paypal.com, inac747@yahoo.com. I as in instinct, N as in Nancy, A as in apple, K as in karate, 747@yahoo.com. For donations through PayPal, Apple Pay, Chime, I can give you the number, Cash App upon request, Zelle, Support the ministry, man. Support this work. Passover's coming up. Passover will be in Philly. All right. It will be in Philly. We have a location on Germantown Avenue. Exact location will be announced. We have an entire weekend. Shalom, sis. April 19th through the 21st. It's an entire weekend, an itinerary. There will be camp. There will be a meet and greet. And then there will be a Passover and other little gatherings throughout the city for brothers and sisters. All right. We have local hotels. Just get at us. Get your RSVP in ASAP. You know, spots will go quick, Lord willing. And get ready to celebrate Passover Sunday, April 21st, 2024 at Even, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, H.O.I. All right, RSVP soon so you can be there in the building for the Passover. Yeah, but it's going to be a whole weekend of events, 19th through the 21st. There's no color scheme this year. You do potluck colors. You match with your family. For the meet and greet, we might have a color scheme, but for the Passover itself, you match with your family. Well, that's your color scheme. You wear your favorite color or whatever color you like with your family. All right, so it's a color scheme, but it's not a color scheme, if that makes sense. But more details and flyers and everything will be coming out about the Passover with more intricate details. All right, tomorrow night and Friday night is day 1 and 2 of Purim. Saturday night at sundown, Purim is over. All right, but tomorrow's sundown through Saturday sundown, you know, is the 2 days of Purim. All right, so I think I covered a lot. Any more information y'all need, just inbox me. I'll put some details in the comments section also. And everybody, happy day of Judas Maccabees, Feast of Purim, 2 days of Purim, and all other feast days, new moons, New Year that's coming up, Passover. Shalom. Again, get y'all calendars. Pre-order y'all calendars. The next batch is coming out soon. Pre-order so you can keep up with all your feast days. All right? So with that, peace, safety, and the kingdom of heaven to the 12 tribes of Israel. Death and destruction and judgments and prophecy to Esau and the other nations. Great day of judgment tonight. Nicanor got his proud hand and head chopped off. And all praise to Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. All right. Priest Zabach, H.O.I to the chariots fly. All the camps in Yahweh, Yahweh Shai throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Call me Ashala, we still got next. Hallelujah. Bring it out. H.O.I to them chariots fly. All the camps in Yahweh, Yahweh Shai forever and ever. Amen. H.O.I, pull up boys. Bring it out. We still got next. All the camps in Yahweh, Yahweh Shai throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Happy destruction of Nicanor. Happy day of Judas Maccabees 2024. Shalom. Khan. Kwam Yashala. Khan.